Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges. Joining us today, he is an NCAA All-American from Cal Baptist University who just made waves on SwimSwam yesterday by announcing his transfer to Arizona State. He has 1 year left of eligibility in the NCAA. He represents Luxembourg internationally. Today, we are talking to Remi Fabiani. Remi, thanks so much for being here. How's it going?
Good. Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here, and I'm excited to talk to you.
This episode of the SwimSwam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, SwimSwam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. I feel a bit foolish because you were seated 7th in the 100 free on the NCAA psych sheets. And I said on our podcast, who is this guy? I've never heard of him before. And you heard that. And so now I'm getting to know who you are and what you're all about as a swimmer. So yeah, pretty excited to sit down and have a chat with you. Let's talk about this most recent news first. You're going to Arizona State after scoring at NCAAs this year. What prompted this move, and what made ASU the right school for your next landing spot?
I've been thinking about it for a long time, honestly. I mean, CBU was obviously like necessarily the dream landing spot when I first started to look for colleges, but obviously it's been great here. But when I first saw the success that they started having when Marshawn was there and looking at the sprint getting better and better each year as well, just the team atmosphere and I guess what I saw from the outside, it just felt like the place to go for me. Especially looking at like recent developments too. Michael Andrew going there, I've trained with him before, and I would consider him a friend, I guess. And having visited the place and seeing how they're still increasingly faster now than they were just 2 years ago. So having the opportunity to be part of a school and a place where there's so many fast swimmers is completely new for me. So I felt like, if I want to put myself in the best position to get faster and help out a team, um, hopefully maybe break NCAA records or something next year, then I felt like ASU was a place to be.
There were those in the comments that were saying 241 for the 400 free ASU 400 free relay next year. So it'll be exciting to track. You've trained with Michael Andrew before. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you guys end up meeting and training together?
Here at school, maybe you know about him. He's like a little bit, I guess, like a small influencer or something. So he did a lot of content on swimming in general, and he knew Michael as well before. I think Michael's gone to Hawaii, where John is from, and they trained together there. So I just trained, I think, with Michael for like 10 days or a week when he was still in Encinitas training in San Diego, because that's pretty close from where our university is here in Riverside, and my girlfriend lives in San Diego, so I just felt like it'd be a good experience for a couple of days to train with Michael, and he was open to it, and it was great. It was definitely very different than what I've ever done before. That was still when he was with his dad and doing the race pace and the ultra short race pace stuff. So it was a great experience to be with him and just being with Mike. I mean, he's a great guy, and I still talk to him later on. He went to Europe for a couple races, and it's been great to connect with him. So I'm excited to train again with him too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We've been covering Michael Andrews since he was 13, I think, and I've known him since he was a teenager, and great guy. I spent time with him and his family in San Diego. I agree with you. Just a wonderful person to be around. So it seems like you're gonna be
Yeah,
in good company at ASU with that training group.
I think so too. Yeah. I'm kind of scared as well, because everyone's so fast. I mean, I think Herbie said in one of your guys' articles that there's like 5 people going 18 next year or something. It's like, oh, I might not even make the relay. So it'll be fun, at least making the experience and having the opportunity to train with like such a elite group of sprinters. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Did were will you be pursuing um, a graduate degree? Will you be finishing your undergrad in terms of just the schooling, or again, kind of the nuts and bolts behind this move? How is the the student side of this looking for you?
From a academic perspective, for me, it was mostly, I think, here at CBU. So I did my degree is international business, and I have like a minor in real estate, anything in master's or MBA in real estate. So I just decided to maybe look for other places, and also because I think in general here, I've been here for 4 years, and I'm going to finish my undergraduate degree here as well. So I just felt like it was the right move when it came to an academic standpoint as well. I think I've been very interested in real estate. I talked to one of the guys who is on the team right now, Patrick Salmon. He told me a lot of great things about the program. And I think, in general, the Phoenix area is known for developing real estate and general. So I think it's a good place to do it. I think obviously it's not just the academic standpoint of why I'm switching. I think there's a lot more to it, but I think that was one of the components. Just also the degree.
Yeah, and that's why it's always nice to have a chat with someone who it was announcing a big move like this, because, as you said, it's not the whole reason, but there are a lot of different parts that go into it, and especially when you're
Hmm.
talking about college swimming, I think swim fans often forget that these athletes are student athletes, and like they are going to school and they do have to have that
Yeah,
part of this as well. They're not just totally professional athletes switching training locations.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I mean, I think also, what's hard in college is for me at least is like all my friends are going to be leaving. We have a pretty big class here,
Hmm.
so as much as I'd like to find a way to make it work here, I think most of my friends are leaving. So time runs out and everything has an end. So it just felt like the right time to leave, and having done my undergraduate here without having like difficulties transferring units and everything, I think it just makes sense to also preparing maybe something all the way to 2028, where maybe I'd like to compete at the Olympics or something.
And that's what that's another thing that was I was considering and kind of bouncing around in my head is, if you do a year at ASU as a student athlete there, and you're wanting to swim until 2028, again, they've got a stout pro group. I'm pretty sure the pros train with the college team at times, so it seems like a good place to do
Hmm.
that as well. So whatever your future does end
Yeah,
up looking like, it seems like ASU might be a good landing spot for all of it.
yeah. I mean, I think so too. Uh, I just had the right vibe, and in general, just being able to train outside. I think where I'm from is not very sunny, so I just think everything kind of just looked right and felt right for me. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited.
Well, congrats on making this move, on this decision for you, and just getting the opportunity to go to ASU. And as you said, let's talk a little bit about where you're from. You represent Luxembourg internationally. Tell me a little bit about. I'm guessing that's where you grew up.
I did grow up there, yes. My family's French, so like my parents are both French. Year after I was born, but that's all I
Hmm.
know. I mean, Luxembourg, small country, very small country, especially compared to like the LA area here. That was definitely awakening. But it's small, quiet, but it was great. I think for swimming, I was lucky to have great coaches around me there. from a young age. I was always very competitive. So before I swam, I did basketball, and I wasn't very good at basketball because when I was a kid, I was small and skinny, so I wasn't really getting the ball much. And as soon as I swam for a little bit, I noticed I wasn't bad at swimming, and I felt like that was something I wanted to do more. And started swimming at about 9, 10 years old. And I was lucky too, since it's such a small country. We only have, I don't know how it works here, because obviously here you have the high school system and everything, but um, high school in Luxembourg is like 7 years,
Hmm.
but you don't have any middle school. So it's kind of like you have elementary and high school. And the high school I went to was like a sports high school. So you were able to swim. I was basically student athlete at like 12, um, 12, 13. So at least changing, getting used to the college life was an adjustment, but I was used to doing like school and swim like I did, like I am now. But um, yeah, I mean, school's pretty hard in Luxembourg. I fluent in 4 languages that I learned at school: German, French, Luxembourgish is a language, and English.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a small country, very multicultural. I think a lot of people go there for work.
Hmm.
Kind of like consider like Switzerland, like a kind of a nice financial hub in general. A lot of American companies actually have like their headquarters, European headquarters in Luxembourg because of like tax benefits and stuff.
Interesting.
But no, it's great. Obviously, small swimming community. Everything is smaller there. It's more like a kind of like CBU, honestly. It's so small. It's kind of like a family, a big family with sometimes a lot of family problems too. But uh, I was lucky to have great coaches when I was young, and that guided me the right way. And there's actually a few of us. There's like 3 Luxembourgish swimmers. So there's like, I think it's, so to say, elite Luxembourgish swimmers in the country, and 3 of them are in America right now, training in the collegiate like um, system.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you end up at Cal Baptist? I guess just in the United States in general. Is that something you knew you wanted to do, or is that something that kind of came to you? You had different coaches calling you with opportunities to come here, and then yeah, specifically, how did you end up at Cal Baptist?
For me, I didn't know at all I was going to go to. I didn't know at all I was going to go to America. First of all, it's always a dream as a kid, but not necessarily for swimming. I didn't know that was even a possibility for me. Um, I thought I was too slow. So I went. How it happened kind of went down is I went to a European short course championship in Glasgow. I think it was in 2019, and there was like I think it's a common thing in Europe, but there's like agencies that'll reach out to you and kind of help you get all the paperwork done and get into the system and kind of help you get some outreach to schools, etc. So I guess I just tried it out. I didn't really think much about it, and then it kind of just naturally, I think, became a decision that I was more and more excited about. I also had honestly, not a real grasp of what schools were good schools. I knew Texas and back then. That's probably the only 2 schools in Florida, because obviously Drake was doing well back then too. At least I'd heard of him when I was younger. So I was like, oh, these schools are good at swimming, but hearing from the schools I talked to, that was mostly Division 2 schools, and I think I talked to like 3 Division 1 schools. And 2 of them were in the same conference, so it was UNLV and CBU. But I think what really, I guess, convinced me to come to CBU was the fact that in Luxembourg there wasn't really the structure. Um, at least not at that point. There wasn't really a structure where I felt like I could train uh, and have fun at the same time, and also do my studies. And felt like it just had a better it just felt like something to do just to be able to live across the world and experience a totally different culture and so many NCAA. And CBU just felt like the right decision for me. Obviously, if I'm being honest with myself and honest, with what I was aspiring to do back then, it was obviously not like, let's say, the dream school at that point, because that's what CBU was. Even coming here, I didn't know where Riverside was. I had no idea what to expect, and even just the level of swimmers. I mean, I had never swam yards before, so I'm looking at those times and I'm like, oh, I think we had a backstroker. I think he was 21.7 or something in the 50 back, and I was like, oh, must be good. I don't know. So I just decided to come to CBU because I think one of my main things, and my like, I don't know what that was called. It's like a brochure a little bit where you said where you wanted to go and what you wanted to do. I said I wanted to go to California. So I went to CBU because of the California weather and because of the coach too. Rick Rowland was our coach back then, our head coach, and he just knew how to sell the program. He knew how to sell California and the beach and everything around here in the sun. And I think it just felt like an easy decision at that point.
Yeah. I mean, hearing you talk about it, it makes sense, right? I mean, you get the California weather. Riverside is right there. You're not far from the beach. And like you said, you get to do athletics and academics. Um, so when you got there, I mean, I guess especially just your first year in the States, what was it like? And what was that adjustment period like coming from Luxembourg?
It was definitely an experience. I mean, to me, it felt like a dream for a long time because I've always wanted to go to, I went to the observatory at the first semester overlooking LA and stuff. So that was like, whoa, I'm definitely here now. It felt surreal, but when it comes to CBU specifically, it was interesting. I remember wanting to go to practice the first day, and the coach told me it was still voluntary practices at that point because they weren't in carrot hours. Like I'd never heard of that. I was like, what is carrot hours? Like I need a coach to coach me or something. I was ready to work. So a lot of things that I didn't know about too, that were an adjustment. And I think it's the same for a lot of people that come from Europe and do it. But um, I think the main component was figuring out, how it placed within the team and how practices were. Because obviously I had I was happy with my coach at home. That is still my head coach today in Luxembourg. But I was just hoping practices would be good, let's say, and that the whole structure would be beneficial for me in the long run because I signed with a school that doesn't have a long course pool. So uh, I was hoping that the yards practices were good for me, uh, and seeing also where I place within the team. Um, I quickly was noticed that I was one of the fastest guys on the team my freshman year already. So um, that was definitely figuring that out and just life in general here, how people, learning to speak better English, all those small things that go with it, buying a bunch of stuff for the room. When I first got here, I didn't have anything. I remember I had to go to I was like, oh, I need bedding, like bed sheets and stuff. I had nothing. I had to sleep on like just the mattress the first day when I got here. So uh, I had to get all of that. But yeah, I think just I was very much going into the unknown. Going to CBU. I was really just put some faith into the school and the head coach and what I felt in my heart. And I guess I just sent it from that point on and tried to make it work.
Do you remember what your first competition and what times you went?
Ooh, that's a good question. We did like an intra squad meet. So it was like a and 500 free. That's what I did. I did like the free pentathlon is what they called it. My times though, I remember the 500 time because that was definitely the time I noticed. I was like, I came in as a two backstroker actually, so
Oh,
that was also
okay.
different than from what I swim today. But so I did the 500 and I won the 500, and I'd never swam a 500 before in my life. That's not an event in short course meters, so that's definitely when I saw a little bit of the level I had compared to the team, and really understood what it meant to swim for CBU, but also what it would have meant if I went to Cal or Texas and all these big schools. Um, so I guess I understood quickly where I was really seated within the team as a swimmer and what I would look like for the next 4 years at that meet. But I think I went like a 20.7 in the 53. Uh, that's the only other time I remember.
Where'd you go in the 500?
There wasn't nothing crazy. Uh, I think I went 4:34 or something in a nothing nothing insane. I'm still just I'm a sprinter now for sure, but back then I mean I wasn't really ready, and I had taken a long break that summer before to see some family too, so I was a little out of shape. But yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. And so then like your conference championship, your first year, what did that have an impact on not only how you saw your own swimming in college, but how you saw the team swimming? Because I feel like conference championships have a whole different energy. You're competing for a team title or a team placing at that point.
I think for me, I think I was 19, 23 my freshman year, so um, I knew something, to try and qualify for NCAAs eventually, maybe. Um, I would have never thought I'd go 41-2 one day. Uh, when it comes to the team, I think, at CBU, we do have a lot of talented swimmers, and um, I think the main thing is that we just went from D2 to D1. So I think it's been an adjustment too for the coaching staff, and I think like we've made some pretty good leaps already in like 2 years, I would say. The practices and when it comes to specificity and the groups weren't as structured, all those things. You could tell it was more like a very good high school or very good club team, let's say. Um, so I knew that, knowing who was going to come into in the future, I knew that the team had potential, obviously. I was just, you know, in the 53, I think the second guy on the team back then was 20.2 maybe. So it was definitely a gap between what I was doing in the 50 and everybody else on the team. So I did think about transferring freshman year as well.
And what made you stay?
Three things I would say. First is just having to move again. I don't know if I was ready for that. It had already been a big adjustment and stuff. Um, I think that was the first thing, and I was used to was always used to training in small groups and small communities. So to say, being from Luxembourg, so I think I saw that there was kind of take ownership of my own skill and what I was gonna do, uh, and kind of be able to lead the team in the right direction as well, with people following me. So I felt like I could have an impact with the coaches and kind of be more involved in that aspect of my training. So be more involved in, draft, not necessarily drafting, but like helping coaches have an overall view of what I was going to do. And specifically my main coach, Lisa, she was very nice and really sat down with me and kind of, we kind of did a lot of teamwork, the both of us, trying to draft the right practices. And I knew I was going to be a lot by myself as well, but I knew how to attack it, so to say. And then second thing was, well, money. I've always been on the full ride here at CBU, and I just felt like 19.2 wasn't enough to get a full ride anywhere else. At least anywhere else where if I felt like it was worth it to move. Freshman year, I thought about moving to ASU. I've honestly thought about moving to ASU every year. So, except the last 2 years, these were different. But sophomore year, I thought it again too. Um, and then thirdly is also because just the community here. I didn't expect it, but I met my girlfriend freshman year, 2 months in or something. So that wasn't the plan, but I don't think, I felt like it was something special, which we're still together today, but I just felt like I didn't want to leave that behind. Um, Especially since I felt like maybe I could make it work here at CBU, and just to have great friends here. I mean, it is really like a big family, specifically within the team, and we live very close, like close to each other. Like this is like CBU is special because it's still dorms, kind of. So it's like senior areas, junior and sophomore and freshman areas. So like I've never had to, look for an apartment or anything, but my friends like they live upstairs basically. So it's just a small community and I was happy here. So I felt like being happy was the first thing, and then trying to make swimming fit around that was my second priority.
I love hearing that. And I love that list of priorities. Being happy, number one, swimming, number two.
Yeah.
Uh, because again,
Yeah.
I think as swim fans or just as people from the outside, we don't always think about the human side of it. I mean, moving is such a big undertaking and moving twice in a
Yeah.
year, especially moving across halfway across the world and then moving somewhere else in that foreign country, like, yeah, that's a lot. Especially when you've laid
Hmm.
down roots and met people and made community. So I appreciate hearing that, and I I really like hearing it. So then you have your second year. How do you feel like you were able to grow and build off of those blocks or that foundation that you had set your freshman year at CBU?
I think after my freshman year, I I expected a lot of good things in the summer. I expected to go very fast in 150 free long course. It turns out that it's kind of important to train long course when you want to be in long course and swim in long course. So uh, that was definitely an awakening. I didn't do very as well as I would have hoped to in Rome at the European Championships. And it was that summer was very hard. I think my freshman year was great, but let's say it wasn't the healthiest when it comes to sleep schedule and also, the first 3 months at CBU was still a lot of discovery of how I wanted to train. And I think I've always been a sprinter that still swims a little bit more yardage. So at the beginning, I was with the super sprinters because I was the fastest sprinter on the team. So just even figuring out like all the practices and how I want to train and kind of setting my own standard again from what I was used to that first year. And then also obviously that summer, like I said, didn't go as well as I thought it would. And you know, right after that, basically, I think I took a week off and um, I just started swimming again. As soon as I got to CBU, I just took ownership in what I felt like I needed to do. And my coach Lisa, she was she was all in with me, and I knew what it was going to take. I was going to be separated often, and I would have to swim with the distance team a little bit. And I basically took care of, with her obviously, and our head coach Rick back then. He gave us the green light or whatsoever to kind of, make sure that Lisa and I can work closer together. But since then, basically, I took what I learned from home and try to implement it as well as I could in yards. And very often, in afternoons, I mean, even today, we still have that, but we'll look at the practice together. And if I felt like there's something we could do a little bit differently or that could be more efficient, I'll try to point it out. and try to explain my reasoning and try to explain, it's just a discussion and teamwork. So that's when I really started doing it. I think a sophomore year, really taking ownership of my own planning and my goals as well. Not just for me, but also for CBU. I think sophomore year was the first year we're allowed to go to NCAA. So as soon as I started training in September, that's what I wanted to do. Um, and yeah, basically, being a lot more involved in writing and in the drafting process of the practices and also the overall vision for the season. I think I also try to take guys with me, as well as possible. But very often that meant, training outside of care hours by myself as well, especially during Thanksgiving breaks and stuff, Christmas breaks. I think that's the overall idea. I don't know if you want me to go into anything more specifically, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did you do you, that's a great description of the work you were putting in and the long hours and kind of the parts we don't see. Do you feel like it paid off at the end of the season in a way that you wanted to?
I think it paid off, not as much as I expected it to. I think I dropped what? I was 19.0 in a 50, 19.09. I wanted to go 18. Um, and I was, I think, 42.2 in a hundreds. I dropped like 6/10 in a hundred. I dropped 2/10 approximately in the 50, and I dropped a second and a half or a second in the 200s. I felt like I definitely trained for more in the 200s. I was 133 in the 200, so nothing crazy again, but um, I was happy though. I think it was the first time I had to take, a lot more ownership in, writing my own practices and not writing my own practices, but being more involved in that because I think I had a lot of knowledge to bring. Lisa and I kind of try to work together and create something, create something good for me or for the team in general as well. Because I think very often a lot of guys ended up joining me. The longer the year got, the more people felt like they needed to do what I was doing as well. Um, but I think it was well. It was a lot of stress because obviously it was going to be up to me if I do well or not. Um, but I think for that year it did well considering that it was the first year of me really being so responsible of my own planning, I guess.
Yeah. Um, your first NCAAs, what was it like?
It was definitely an experience. It was pretty cool for me because I mean with a 19.2 I was in the last heat in the morning in the 53. So I was next to I was on lane 7, I think. I was next to Brooks Curry, he was on lane 6, so he was the NCAA champion, the reigning NCAA champion at that point. And then Crooks was in that same heat too, so it was definitely coming out a little bit of that small, place like CBU and being able to compete with people that were faster than me, um, and see what that really looked like too, and and just being able to swim in this heat like that and being able to experience, what an 18 looks like. Because I obviously didn't go 18 at that meet, but I think Brooks Curry next to me went 18, and just seeing what that looks like, I've never trained with someone that went 18 or even close to 19.2 or 19.0 from what I went. So um, I didn't do as well as I would have hoped to, but I obviously kind of fully tapered to just qualify. So, double tapers is hit or miss most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can imagine your first time going to a big meet like that, not always going to be perfect. But pretty much always
Mhm.
probably takeaways or learning opportunities.
I mean, in general, it's kind of, again, like 9 championships that summer before. And as soon as I got back from NCAAs, I went back to practice because I think I have a problem with that too. I usually feel pretty bad about myself when I don't do as well as I wanted to. And I feel kind of embarrassed when I see like I came in with a 19.0 and I swam 19.2 and got all these guys going so fast. I just hate coming back in the afternoon to do like a loosen up swim and look at other people race. So I think that was definitely it definitely motivated me to try and do better next time.
Yeah. And so then what take me through the Olympic redshirt year. What motivated that for you? And again, just kind of how you feel like that year went.
I think I decided to do that the summer after my sophomore year. Just looking at where I was placed at CBU, having been the first person to qualify for NCAAs and seeing where the team was headed. I thought back then that we might have a chance to win my senior year at our conference. And so I kind of sold it to my coach that way back then. I was like, hey, I want to stay at CBU, I think, until my senior year. But I asked him if I could, get an Olympic redshirt and also do one semester funded here at CBU. And he approved it. I think he understood my goals and also I think was willing to work with me when it came to, I think I sold him our senior year pretty well and we came really close to winning at the end this year, but I think we lost by like 20 points. But
Oof.
I think it was just motivated by the fact that we don't have a long course pool here. And I just noticed the past 2 summers that there's just not enough time for me to kind of get used to swimming in long course, especially the 53, which is the race I ended up choosing to try and qualify for. That last 15 meters was always, took me a whole summer to kind of figure out every time. And the summer after my sophomore year, I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, but I was pretty frustrated with how I was swimming. I wanted to try and, get close to the qualifying time, go at 22.0 and maybe 21.9. I really felt like I had that in me, especially looking at the 25s I was doing, 25s from a push and kind of putting that together. I'm like pretty analytical when it comes to like adding times together. I was looking at times of swimmers that go 21.9, what do they split on the second 25 and stuff? Where was I? But I ended up swimming 22.447, I think, in Fukuoka. And from that point on, we basically, with my coach, I had the Olympic redshirt approved. And we thought that'd be a good idea for me to kind of do like a weight training cycle where I try to gain some strength. Because we felt like that was kind of what was missing in the 50, where we kind of had maximized like my strength in general. It's always been hard for me to put on any muscle or any strength. I was always kind of naturally explosive and athletic, I would say, but I think there's definitely a ceiling we hadn't explored because I've been swimming a lot these past 3 years, still doing a lot of volume, a lot of intensity work, and starting to sprint a lot more too. So we basically started planning the summer, and then out of surprise, I went 22.009, like 3 weeks later at, I think it was the first edition of like the U23 European Championships in Dublin.
Hmm.
And I did that in a skins race, though. That's a fun fact. I'm kind of good about that too in practice. It's kind of how I learn the most. But the way I get faster is usually the more I swim a race back to back too, the better I swim. And so that day I swam 22.47. I equaled my time from Fukuoka, which I did not expect at all. I thought it was going to go like 22.7 or something. And then that night I go 22.4. And then in the skins race, so basically, in the skins race, you obviously want to try and win the whole thing. But I was competing against Bukov back then, and I knew I wasn't really gonna win. So I just told my coach I was gonna go all out in the first 50 of the skins race to see how that goes. And I dropped like 4 tenths. I don't know how or where, but I guess maybe my calculations were a little bit right. Uh, but after that, we basically still stuck to that plan of trying to gain a little bit of strength over that first semester. we just took advantage of the fact that here at CBU I basically have like an unlimited meal plan. So we have all these locations on campus. Food is pretty good here, so I knew I could eat as much as I needed to kind of gain muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
And also the gym was really good here. Not our rec center, or APC is what we call it, the athletic gym or whatever. And we just felt like it was the right time to do it since I wasn't going to be able to train long course. We put a focus on weights. I was still swimming normally, but obviously that kind of took a little bit more of a dominant aspect of my training. And I think I put on like close to 20 pounds in 4 months. I was eating a lot. I think on Mondays I was eating like 5 or 6 times a day.
Wow.
But I gained like 20 pounds, and at the end you know, the summer after that when I was leaned out and stuff, I wasn't too greasy, but I obviously gained a little bit of fat too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general I probably gained like 14 pounds of muscle from that whole cycle. And but I gained more strength and percentage than I gained weight, so I think it was still good. But looking back, I think it was a good year. I think obviously I didn't end up qualifying for the Olympic Games. I think I was 22-1. But the work I put in that year was very good. A lot by myself again, and now even more responsible of my own program because the weight sessions I was receiving were from my weight training coach at home. I was responsible of my own diet and looking at the calories and also practices because that had to change a little bit. I wasn't able to swim 6K practices anymore when I had 20 extra pounds and it'd still be beneficial. So I think I'd never put in as much effort and work into a year as I did last year. Maybe I did a little too much because I think I was a little burnt out at the end. But yeah, I think it was a good season. It obviously came to this deception of not qualifying. But I think that year kind of showed this year for me too, and how I dropped in yards. But yeah, I think, sorry, it's a lot of long stories. I'm sorry, but yeah,
It's what we're here for. That's all good. And no,
yeah.
it's also fascinating to hear just the journey you've been on and the different things you've tried. And, you've taken a path that I think very few athletes have been on, from coming to the US from a different country, taking an Olympic red shirt. Like you've been through a lot of these experiences that I think it's fun to hear your perspective on all of them. Going for an Olympic berth and putting everything into it, and then just coming up short. I think that's something that not a lot of people get the opportunity to do, is like truly chase
Hmm.
that Olympic dream. But as you mentioned,
Yeah.
you feel like all of that work you put in last year showed this year. When you came back to CBU for your senior year, were you feeling that burnout, or were you feeling more rejuvenated and ready for your final year here?
I took a long break last summer after competing in at the European Championships in Belgrade. I think I swam like 2 more weeks after that, and then took off. What I did actually is I was kind of sick of swimming, and I also did wanted to be as far as possible from the Olympic Games. So from Paris, because that's pretty close to Luxembourg. It's only like I think a 4 hour car ride and a
Okay.
1.5 hour train ride. So it's pretty close. The way I also wasn't able to make it. Obviously, as a small country, you have the chance to be able to maybe take like a wild card athlete. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but me and my friend Ralph, he trains at U of A, but he was able to go based on FINA points. So I'm happy he ended up going. But for me, it was tough because uh, just the way it kind of unfolded is the day of the 53, I swam 22.2 in the morning, and that was my best swim in the morning by far. Felt pretty confident the whole week. I dropped the second in 100 free like 4 days before. I went from 49.7 or 8 to 48.8. So everything had been going very well. And the afternoon of my final, uh, there was a storm, so a thunderstorm. So like the moment I was about to step out and our heat was about to step out for the 53, we basically got told that we had to wait. And so we were just waiting in this call room for, 20 minutes to go, and it was raining as well. And it just felt like I still felt pretty confident and knew I had a chance to make it, but I think it just felt like things were not really adding up for me anymore at that point, looking back. But the worst part is not even that, but is I swam 22:14 with kind of a bad swim, I guess. My dive wasn't very good, and I missed a swim off by like 1/100th, and I missed the final at European Championships by like 3 or 4 100ths. And then, looking back, and now I didn't get chosen because of FINA points, and the 53 doesn't give you a lot of FINA points in general. So just that was really hard to kind of process too, because I think me and Ralph were actually 1 and 2 on like the alternate list, but he was number one, I was number two, and so I wasn't able to go. But I basically just took off that whole summer, and I decided to go as far away as possible from Europe, and so I spent a week in Zion, in Utah, just hiking and doing a bunch of other stuff, and I left my phone at home, um, and just kind of thought I just was sick of everything. Honestly, I just kind of burnt out. Don't even know how to explain it, but um, I just did a week for myself, and that whole summer I just kind of tried to take care of myself too. I had like a shoulder injury that had kind of been bugging me for a couple weeks back then, um, and back pain because of that whole weightlifting thing that just kept on. That was kind of lingering as well. So kind of just taking a break and taking care of my body. And to be honest, it didn't feel like I was really over it this September coming back to CBU. Um, I thought about quitting swim in October. I was talking to my mom and talking to my coaches here too, and my coach at home, and people that are close to me, and I just felt like I had, given enough, and I didn't know if I could do another 4 years. For me, it's always either I'll be able to give 100%, and I'm not really interested in doing 80. And for myself, I just feel like I like to be honest with myself, and I don't really enjoy doing things and not doing them at 100%. So, and I wasn't doing swim at 100% at that time, which is, kind of for me, I didn't really see the joy very much. I didn't have any aspirations. I didn't care about whether I was going to go to NCAAs or not that much. Uh, all I cared about was trying. The only reason I stayed is because I felt like the team had a good chance to win our conference, and that's kind of what kept me in it. And I decided to train more with the team the first 2 months and kind of commit more to, because I was a captain this year, so kind of commit more to that role and present with the team and do more team activities and be more within the team groups that are assigned, when it comes to practices and stuff. But I think what helped me the most is going back after a couple months to what I knew and training with Lisa and redrafting my own practices and enjoying the process of understanding swimming and the technique comes with it and kind of feeling good in the water. I don't even know how to explain, but I do love swimming and how complicated it is and how simple it can look, and just figuring out how to swim faster from a technical standpoint. That's always what's been my passion in general, trying to do my best and trying to find a way how I can go faster and find ways to go faster, changing my technique and uh, doing different sets and experimenting with that. And I think being able to go back to that kind of helped me to love swimming again a little bit more. And I think that's what I promised myself too. After that, is just trying to enjoy the process of, getting to understand this craft and this, and the sport of swimming along the way without really thinking about results. And from then on, I kind of started getting motivated again and having fun. But
That's
yeah, long story again.
no, that's wonderful to hear. It seems like the Olympic year can cause a lot of burnout. It does for me,
Yeah.
just as a member of the media. Like you
Mhm.
feel the intensity rise, that whole year, and it just builds and builds and builds, and then finally when it's over, I'm just like, I don't want to do, I need a break. I don't want to be around swimming
Yeah.
anymore. I want to go to Zion and leave my phone at home. So
Yeah.
it makes sense, right?
That is interesting though to hear from you too, because my coach said the same thing. Uh, for me, sometimes I only see it as an athlete, but he was telling me, he's like, I was on the phone with him in October. He's like, I mean, when I have to take times on 25s and I have to time some of the kids out here on 25s, it's just exhausting because we've been doing sprints all year. It's like I don't want to look at nobody sprinting anymore. It's just like I'm burnt out from that too. So it's interesting. It's true. I'd never experienced it before, but just the intensity too, and seeing also how difficult the times were this year, compared to the 12 years ago. Just looking at how hard it is for people to make times and stuff is you can definitely sense, as you say, it's like there's a different type of intensity that year. It's the first time I experienced that too.
Yeah. It's the Olympic year is, yeah, a whole different animal. Uh, but in the same vein, so is making NCAAs, and you did that this year, and you did it with flying colors. I mean, tell me about
Yeah.
so you fell back in love with swimming. You kind of focused on your process, focused on making little changes, learning about the sport. But then you get to your end of the season, and you throw down a 41-2 in the 100 free, and you find yourself
Mhm.
in a position to not only go to NCAAs but to score there as well.
Oh, well, that's kind of unexpected, honestly. I mean, I had my goal times. I wanted to try and go 41. But my main goal that for conference was I thought we would have had a chance to qualify a relay, and so the main thing for me was qualify individually so that we can take a relay. I don't remember exactly how the rule was, but to my understanding, I had to qualify individually as well. And so um, the main thing was try and qualify in any events, the 50 or the 100, the 50 free or the 100 free. And we ended up missing 2 tens on the. We ended up
Mm.
missing the cut in the 200 free relay by 2 tens. But I went 18.8 in that relay, so that was already really cool. That was honestly was a relief. I was pretty emotional just because I felt like I'd been chasing 100s for like since sophomore year. Like I said, I tried to go 18 sophomore year and it didn't work out. And the year after that, I've been chasing 100s and missing everything by 100s, 100s. And being able to break a barrier like that was like, whoa, it definitely felt, I definitely felt really gratifying in general. Just to be able to do that and also do it with the team and get so close to qualifying or relay, that was really what mattered for me that year, this year. Um, but I felt very comfortable in the hundreds. Since last year when I started doing all the strength gaining, I felt like it would benefit my 100 free the most. Just because I felt like whenever doing like the gallop stroke, I just wasn't strong enough. In the sprint, I was explosive enough to, nail the dives and the breakouts and coordinated enough to be able to swim fast. But for me, the 100 free, at least for me, was such a powerful race, and I just didn't have the technique or the gallop that came with, a little bit more strength for me. And I was excited to swim the 100, but in the individual, again, same scenario basically as in Dublin. It's my third race of the day, and it's my last race of the whole week. Um, and I've been doing, I think, all the relays, obviously, like 4 relays, just like, the regular schedule. And I swam 42.8 in the morning. Obviously, at WAC is not as competitive as SECs or stuff, so you can take it out a little bit slower. But I was 42.8 or 42.6, but I was out 20.0, and I'd never been out 20.0 ever before, even when I was all out. And I was like, okay, good. I think I can go 41. And so at night, I go in the individual, I go 41.8, 86, I think, or 83. But it felt terrible. It felt like a terrible race. I went out 19.6 or 19.7 and then came back 22, close to 22. Actually, yeah, I came back 22.1, I think. And the whole race kind of felt like rushed. And so as soon as I got out, that was our main goal too. Everything kind of came down to that really at the end because the 4x1 free was really where we thought we had the best chance to qualify. But I was pretty tired at that point, to be honest. So I had to, like, I took some extra pre-workout. I usually don't take pre-workout, but I was like, I need to be up for this because I got to do my job. I don't want us to miss the cut because I didn't do my job. Um, and so, kind of got in my zone, put on some music and really try to focus to get one last good swim out of it. And I knew what I had to fix too. And then after that, I went 41.2, and for me that was, I mean, unimaginable to be able to go 41.2 was, obviously you got people going 39 now, but uh, I just would have never imagined I could go 41.2 even that day. I was like, oh, maybe I can take like 3 tenths off, you know. But then, I think I went out 19.58. I went out 2 tenths faster and came back 4 tenths quicker too. So I just knocked off another 6 tenths off my best time. So uh, I thought we were going to qualify the relay. I was like, oh, this is money. Because I thought I had to like swim 41.9. And we didn't end up qualifying the relays because I think some of the guys at the end I think it was just too much, at the end of the week. Sometimes it's hit or miss. So they just didn't end up swimming as well as they wished they did. And we missed the cut by quite a bit. But I think if everyone had a good race, when I swam 41.2, I was like, oh, we're going. I started celebrating with my friends, and we didn't go. So, but it's just I think in general, all the work again, like from all the years, going 41.2, just I would have never expected to go 41.2, but seeing what I've done and everything I've put in and all the responsibilities I've taken, you know, for myself and ownership and stuff, just like that was probably one of the best weeks I've had because obviously it was my last meet with CBU and being able to finish it like that and the team watching the relay and it just felt like a perfect last race with the team. So yeah, but now being able to score at NCAAs, that was definitely a surprise. But I was excited for the challenge. I'd participated in semifinals at European Championships and I'd been to NCAA, so I felt like I wasn't gonna get overwhelmed as much as I used to, and I think I was ready for the challenge and excited. At the same time, I didn't care that much because back then I had already signed with ASU,
Mm.
and we just didn't announce it until NCAA. So for me, my goal was to figure out what my future was and try to win conference, and so I had nothing to lose.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's that's great to hear. And obviously you had a great end to your time at Cal Baptist and your NCAA career thus far. So I guess just Remi, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and chat and talk about debrief your entire swimming career to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I talked a little bit much. I'm sure you had a couple more questions, but All my stories are. I like to talk, as you can tell probably.
Hey,
But thanks for having me. It's been great.
no, that's what we're here for, and I wish you all the best moving forward with ASU.
Thank you. I'm excited. So we'll see.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.